Welcome to Quiet Psychology. Spiritual awakening usually doesn't arrive like it does in the movies. One dramatic moment, one perfect realization, and suddenly everything makes sense. More often, it begins quietly, like a whisper you can't unhear, like a tiny splinter in your mind you keep touching even when you try to move on. It's your soul's way of saying, "I don't want to sleep anymore. I want to live the real life that belongs to you." And yes, this journey can be difficult, confusing, and sometimes frightening, because it asks you to question everything you thought you knew, every belief you inherited, every value you were taught to chase, even the person you thought you were. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In this video, I'm going to give you a map for that journey, the 7 main stages of spiritual awakening, and the signs of each one, so you can understand where you are, feel less alone, and see what may be waiting in the next step. If you're ready, let's open the map and start with the very first stop, the whisper that begins it all. Stage 1. Restlessness in the sleep state. This is the stage where everything begins, but you don't yet know what has begun. Life runs on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch something, sleep, repeat. It can feel like your life is a script written by someone else, and you're just reading the lines. The most common feeling in this stage is a deep dissatisfaction. Money, achievements, relationships, things that are supposed to make you happy, don't fill the emptiness inside. Sometimes it even gets worse. The more you gain, the bigger the emptiness feels. Signs of stage 1 can include: you catch yourself asking, "What is the point of all this?" Activities you once enjoyed suddenly feel meaningless. You start questioning society's definition of success. A good job, a nice home, the right lifestyle. You don't feel like you truly belong anywhere. Even in a crowd, you can feel intensely alone. What's really happening is simple. Your soul is gently knocking on the door. Like it's saying, "Hey, are you in there? You forgot something. You forgot yourself." Most people ignore this knock. They try to drown it out with work, shopping, busy schedules, entertainment, anything that distracts. And it may work, temporarily. But if you keep ignoring the whisper, the soul doesn't disappear. It gets louder. And then you move into the second stage, the stage where things start to collapse. Stage 2, the dark night and the breakdown. If you ignored the first stage, the gentle knocking, your soul eventually has no choice but to stop knocking. It has to break the door. This is what many people call the dark night of the soul. Like the tower moment in tarot, when the structures you relied on begin to fall. Often the breakdown is triggered by something external. You suddenly lose your job. A long-term relationship ends. You face a health scare. You lose someone close to you. From the outside, it looks like a disaster. But on the inside, it can be your soul's harsh kind of mercy. Because it's ripping you away from what is false, from what no longer serves you, from the comfortable, safe castle where you were sleeping. The signs of this stage can be intense and painful. You feel like your life has become empty and meaningless. Depression and hopelessness can appear. The question, "Who am I?" stops being philosophical and becomes a real identity crisis. The old version of you is gone, but the new version hasn't arrived yet. You feel lost in the space between. Your belief system shakes. You may lose faith in life, in people, in the universe, even in yourself. You isolate socially because you feel misunderstood, like no one can see your pain. This stage can feel like hell, but it isn't the end. It's a purification. It's like a caterpillar dissolving inside the cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. The old form has to melt, so something new can be born. In this stage, the only real way through is to stop resisting, to surrender, to let the pain move through you instead of fighting it. Because the more you run from the pain, the longer you stay here. And then, when you finally hit the bottom, when you feel like there's nothing left to lose, a small light begins to leak in. That's when stage 3 begins. Stage 3, seeking and discovery. You've been through the fire, you've lost things, and now you're sitting in the rubble. There's a strange kind of freedom at rock bottom, because when you have nothing left to protect, you stop pretending. And in that space, your inner voice returns. But this time, it sounds different. It asks, if everything I believed was a lie, then what is real? This is the beginning of the seeking stage. You don't search just to numb your pain anymore. You search for answers. Your eyes open. Topics that never interested you before suddenly feel urgent, like they're calling you. Signs of this stage include, you start devouring psychological, spiritual, and philosophical books. You discover Carl Jung, shadow work, trauma healing, nervous system regulation, dream meaning, archetypes. You become curious about practices you once dismissed: mindfulness, meditation, breathwork, yoga, journaling, somatic work. You start noticing synchronicities, things you used to call coincidence, repeating numbers, strange timing, someone you can't stop thinking about suddenly calling you. You meet new people, people you can talk to about deeper things, and you may feel yourself drifting away from your old social circle. This stage can feel exciting and illuminating. It's like being in a dark room for a long time. Then someone places a flashlight in your hand. You still can't see the whole room, but now you can finally see enough to move. This is the information gathering stage. You study different maps, different paths, but eventually you realize something important. Reading is not enough. Understanding is not enough. At some point, you have to experience the truth inside your own life. And that realization brings you into the heart of awakening. Stage 4. Stage 4. Inner confrontation. You've read the books, you've collected the ideas. You have a lot of information now. But one day it hits you. Real transformation isn't out there. It has to happen in here. No matter how many books you read, you can't move to the next level without facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. This is stage 4, inner confrontation, or in Jungian language, meeting your shadow. The shadow is everything you've suppressed, denied, or ignored. Your jealousy, your anger, your pride, your fear, your shame. The parts of you that were labeled bad by your family, your culture, or your past, so you buried them deep. In this stage, life starts holding up mirrors. Signs of this stage include, you notice traits in other people that trigger you intensely. Someone's arrogance, selfishness, dishonesty, neediness, and you can't stand it. Often, that intense reaction points to something you've rejected in yourself. Life is basically saying, look, this is also part of you. Old trauma and childhood wounds rise to the surface. Memories you thought you forgot show up in dreams, flashbacks, or quiet moments. You start noticing self-sabotage patterns. You see how you ruin things right as they begin to improve. You see how you keep choosing the same kind of painful relationships. This can be humiliating and painful, because no one wants to meet their darker side. But this is one of the most important crossroads on the path. When you stop judging your shadow and start understanding it, something surprising happens. You realize the shadow isn't only poison. It holds gifts. The anger you buried may actually contain your ability to set boundaries and protect yourself. The jealousy may be pointing to your own unlived potential. The fear may be showing you where you truly care. Every shadow piece has a hidden power inside it. When you integrate these parts, when you stop exiling them, you become whole. You stop trying to be only a good person. You become a complete person. And that wholeness is deeply freeing. This is inner alchemy. And once you've done this work, you're ready for Stage 5, rebuilding. Stage 5, rebuilding the self. You've danced with your shadow. You've held the parts of yourself you used to reject. Now there's less hiding, less pretending, and it's time to build something new on the clean ground. Your own life, your own home, internally and externally. This is Stage 5, rebuilding the self. In this stage, you stop searching so desperately for approval or guidance outside of you. Because you've started to recognize your strongest guidance lives within you. Your intuition, your higher self, your inner compass. And you start trusting it. Signs of this stage include: you clean house in your life. You leave work that drains you. You end friendships that feel toxic or one-sided. You let go of habits and addictions that kept you numb. You make decisions with less fear and more clarity. Your values shift completely. Money, status, fame, and appearances lose their grip. Peace, love, authenticity, and creativity become more important. You stop being afraid to express who you really are. You do what feels right, not what will impress people. You begin to enjoy being alone. Solitude stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like sacred time. Time where you reconnect with yourself. In this stage, you begin aligning your life with your soul's values. It's like writing your own personal constitution. What matters to me? What kind of life do I want to live? What is worth my energy? You stop looking outside for the answers. You find them inside. And that brings a powerful feeling. You are no longer a leaf being thrown around by the wind. You are the captain of your ship. You take full responsibility for your life. And as you live from this more authentic self, your relationship with the world shifts too, which leads to Stage 6. Stage 6, unity consciousness. You've built your inner home. You found more peace and wholeness inside yourself. Now you look out through the windows of that home, and the world looks different. This is Stage 6, unity consciousness, the end of the illusion of separation. Until now, the journey has been mostly about me, my pain, my search, my shadow, my identity. But here the word me starts to soften, and we becomes real. You stop seeing yourself as separate from other people, from animals, from nature, from life itself. You begin to feel deeply that everything is connected, like different waves in the same ocean. Signs of this stage include: you feel deep compassion and empathy, not just for the people you love, but even for those who hurt you. You start seeing the fear, pain, and ignorance behind their actions. Judgment is replaced by understanding. You feel an intense bond with nature. A tree stops being just a tree. It feels alive, wise, breathing. An animal's eyes don't look empty. You feel something shining back at you. You lose the need to compete. You understand that someone else's success isn't your failure. When one part rises, the whole rises. Your fear of death decreases, sometimes dramatically, because you sense that what you truly are is bigger than a body, bigger than a label, bigger than a story. In this stage, a desire to serve can appear. Not from ego, not "I need to save everyone," but from a quiet truth. I want to contribute to the good of the whole. Like a gardener watering one flower, knowing it helps the entire garden become more beautiful. This unity consciousness lifts you above everyday drama. It gives you a wider perspective. And one of its greatest gifts is inner peace. With that peace, you arrive at the final stage, not the end of the journey, but the real beginning. Stage 7. Living enlightenment. Enlightenment is not climbing a mountain and staying there forever, meditating above the world. Enlightenment is climbing the mountain, seeing clearly, and then coming back down to live ordinary life with extraordinary awareness. This is stage 7, living enlightenment. The seeking ends because you finally understand what you were searching for was never far away. It was always within you and around you. Now you don't rush to arrive somewhere. You simply become. The signs of this stage are quiet and simple. You accept life as it is, good and bad, beautiful and ugly. You understand it's all part of the same dance. You stop resisting. You move with the flow. A spontaneous, childlike joy returns. You find deep pleasure in simple things: a cup of tea, a child's laughter, rain on the window, a calm morning. Spiritual practices stop feeling like chores. Meditation becomes as natural as breathing. Life itself becomes meditation. Your presence becomes healing. You don't need to convince people or fix them. Just being who you are helps others remember their own light. This stage isn't the end. It's where the game truly begins. Life stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a dance. Not a test, a living experience. And you are both the player and the game, and also the quiet witness watching it all. So where are you on this map? Maybe you recognized yourself clearly in one stage. Maybe you feel like you move between a few of them. Remember, this is not linear.
It's a spiral. Sometimes it can feel like one step forward, 2 steps back, and that's completely normal. The most important thing is that you are on the path, that you feel the splinter, that you hear the call, that you take the first step. Now I want you to write in the comments which of these 7 stages best describes your life right now. Have there been moments where you felt alone in this journey? Let's share our stories, because one of the strongest forms of support on this path is simply knowing we're not the only one. And if you want to explore this map more deeply and find new guides to light your next steps, subscribe and join our Quiet Psychology family. Remember, wherever you go, the one thing you're truly looking for is yourself, and you are already here.